Oh, it's time to admit, huh? That a lot of y'all see your own people through the eyes of them folks. That's the reason why you got all these surface level critiques about hood ghetto people. You see what I'm saying? Whenever you want to put on a little black costume though and show your white friends how hood and how smooth and cool you is, you will literally take on black hood aesthetics and take them on a costume. You see what I'm saying? See, a couple of years ago, you was always already policing different types of blackness that you didn't find palatable. But now in this new age of social media, a lot of folks is putting it on thick and you want to act like you from the hood or act like you ghetto, but you scared of us? A lot of the dance trends, a lot of the slang, a lot of the fashion trends come from the hood. Y'all ain't got no issue with taking them on as the entirety of black culture. But as soon as somebody do something you don't like, oh, that's ghetto. And what things that really don't sit right with me is that I know that them folks can see anybody as being ghetto or anybody as being hood, whether you have proximity to the community or not. And that's the thing that is so kind of weird about all this discourse about hood black people. You see what I'm saying?
Hi there, Mr. Education is Elevation. I'm confused by you, so allow me to hopefully educate and also elevate you. You're the same guy a week ago speaking about the misogynoir about black women and black trans women because a bunch of streamers made fun of a black woman.
Had a little incident with Drewski being on Castanet's show and them being like transphobic to a non-trans woman is one of the reasons why I'm such a staunch advocate against people just being able to exist how they show up, and one of the reasons why I talk about misogynoir and about heteronormativity so much, because I recognize the way that black women get depicted in media is always a way to kind of attack their femininity or make it like they ain't woman enough. We live in a climate that's demonized the trans identity so much that you literally have individuals that's in fear and paranoia of the potentiality of somebody being trans. That's crazy to me. Which brings me to a point. There was this trans man that just got his life taken away from him in Atlanta, named, I think they called him Chevy. And I recognize that it's something about being black and trans that make y'all always jump to these old biggie, boogeyman, grandiose type of actions. Maybe this your first time seeing one of my videos, but my motto is if some of us ain't free, then none of us ain't free. And this also goes towards black trans people.
You're the same dude a number of months ago who was speaking very loud in support of a woman who was lying about getting hit upside the head with a fucking brick and had to walk it all back because a bunch of your fans was looking at you and saying, you're not really paying attention to anything. You just want to divide a bunch of people based on some high vocabulary and some nice spectacles.
I want to apologize for being defensive and not being brutally honest and acknowledging two things from the jump. Yes, Ro lied about how she was hit and what happened when she was hit, but she was in fact hit. At this point, I can acknowledge, however, it's way bigger than Ro, and that this particular issue is being used to drive division and conflict in the black community, especially amongst men and women. And that's why I'm taking responsibility for. I apologize for how my initial egotistical response contributed into this proxy gender war that's going on, that's literally hurting the camaraderie and unity in our community amongst black men and black women. That is not the goal or the purpose, and I apologize for that.
You are doing all of that and still somehow discrediting the nervousness and the fears of a black woman saying she don't want to hang around hood people. And maybe my last video wasn't a strong enough point to emphasize, so I will do it here candidly so that everybody can understand. It's not where you from, it's you. You could be a silver-spooned individual living in a mansion. You could have every necessity known to man, and you could still have a bunch of people look at you and say, I don't really like how you act, and I don't really want to be around that. You could be somebody homeless, and you could have on a nice suit, and you could look the part. You could have all the opportunities to improve your life, and people will still look at you and say, I don't want to be around that. You could be middle class. I don't really want to be around that. You could be in the hood. I don't really want to be about that. It's all on you. You could have everything under the sun and people will still look at you with a negative connotation. And that's on them. And based on how you perceive and act in your daily life, you can do it all. It's not an attack on black people who live in the hood. It's an attack on a bunch of motherfuckers who we all see doing the dumbest shit under the sun. But because we won't get in our fucking feelings about how nice and how proper all black people are, we got to sit here and fucking pretend like no black person never does no weird fucking shit that gives reason for a bunch of people to be fucking scared.
Black people of TikTok, can you please stop the cap? You know exactly who she meant by hood people. She wasn't talking about the black people that sometimes talk ghetto and may look ghetto. She was talking about niggas. These niggas in particular. These niggas is scary. You know how I know you capping? Because your mom told you when you was a kid to stay away from these niggas in particular. Every black person can agree that we have niggas that we stay away from.
I could line up 7 motherfuckers right now who will all tell you I had never lived in a hood the day in my life, and they will tell you why they don't want to hang around me or why they don't fucking like me, and it'll stand to reason because it's me, and I'm working on my fucking self so that I can improve for people in the future. But guess what? I'm not ignorant enough to look at what a woman says and be like, oh, I feel personally attacked by this, and how could I possibly sit here and let you slide being afraid of motherfuckers who could potentially shoot you over losing a fucking basketball game?
And settled an argument with a woman by shooting her 4 times in the chest. Cameron Hogg is now charged with the murder of Asia Womack. Police say he lost a game of pickup basketball earlier in the day. Then there was some trash talk, and police say he was so mad about it he found her and then murdered her without saying a word. Fox 4 Stephen Dial live in Dallas with details from police documents. Stephen.
Court documents say Cameron Hogg allegedly left that basketball game, went to another location, and confronted Asia Womack. That's when they say he shot her 4 times, killing her.
When I got that call, I was full of joy this morning. Hadn't had joy in a while, but with him being captured, I'm full of joy today.
Weeks after Andrea Womack's daughter, Asia Womack, was shot and killed, Dallas police arrested Cameron Hogg, the man they say murdered her over an argument following a game of pickup basketball in a South Dallas park.
He pull up to my house, pick her up, they ride together, eat food together, take his phone calls, give him money in jail, and you turn around and kill her.
Court documents say on October 3rd, after words were exchanged, Womack and a friend were sitting outside with a TV hooked up to watch football. Womack's friend told police Hogg drove his truck to where they were and got out angry. The witness told police Womack stood up, ready to confront Hogg again. But without saying a word, Hogg pointed a handgun and shot her twice in the chest. She fell, and while she was falling, he shot 2 more times and left. That witness later identified Hogg in a photo lineup.
It was really senseless for him to kill his friend over a basketball game. Even over words, so much as not the basketball game itself, but the words that were spoken after the game.
Hogg has a criminal history in Dallas County dating back more than a decade. The charges range from robbery to family violence and aggravated assault.
Or 8 motherfuckers killing 1 motherfucker.
Right now on the 4, the more information we learn about the disturbing kidnapping and murder of Mahogany Jackson, the harder it is and more awful it is to hear.
Some of those suspects accused in her killing making an appearance in court today. Bria Chapman joins us now live with the latest. And Bria, the details that you heard today in court are disturbing and heartbreaking.
Yeah, Morgan, that is right. This case is beyond disturbing, and it was an emotional day in court. Now, one of the saddest details I learned today is that Mahogany Jackson came to the first location thinking these people were her friends. Investigators say they then tortured her, and the things that were described are why Judge Keisha Davis says she denied all of these suspects a bond. Now, Birmingham Police Homicide Detective Mark Green says the first stop was the home of suspect Brandon Pope. Now, that's where Jackson was beaten outside while she was naked. Officers say some of the suspects beat her while others recorded the beatings. Now, Jackson was stomped and kicked, and then prosecutors say one of the suspects can be heard saying, "Put her in the trunk," and then she was dragged naked in the street. Now, Jackson was taken to a second location, and I want to warn you, this will be hard to hear. Prosecutors say Jackson was sexually assaulted at gunpoint. Officials say she was handcuffed, beaten, pistol whipped, and then spat on. Now, Jackson's family, including her mother, were present in court today, and as they read out the evidence, you could hear them getting very emotional. DA Danny Carr says, though, this will be a long road to get justice for Mahogany, and he also explains why only 5 out of the 8 suspects were present today for the Anayas Law hearing.
The individuals that are charged with capital murder, obviously, the law, the statute and the rules of criminal procedure says that their bond can be set at a no bond automatically. The individuals that are charged with felony murder, the statute requires a hearing. The next step, obviously, is there'll be further investigation with Birmingham Police Department.
Yeah, another sad thing we learned today was that the suspects wanted the password to Mahogany Jackson's phone. Officials say they even told her if she gave it to them, they would let her go, only to kill her anyway.
Because how dare you talk about where the fuck I grew up? Grow a set of fucking nuts and realize that in every fucking community, because yes, this is not just catered towards the black people, but the only reason it's specified here is because it's a trend that started to get traction because a black woman stated, hey, as a black woman, I didn't feel comfortable admitting this in the past, but now that I'm a grown adult, I can admit it. So of course it's going to be catered specifically towards black people. You can talk about it with the trailer park whites, the tequila drinking Mexicans, the Asians. You can do it with every fucking group. But of course, it's only catered towards the black people. So of course, a bunch of the for the people individuals are going to feel personally attacked because they view themselves as the top priority in the world. They view themselves as individuals who do no fucking wrong while they conveniently ignore every other fucking thing that's going on. And if they do see a black person in the wrong, they somehow blame it on a white guy because, of course, a white guy is always at fault for something another motherfucker in a whole nother motherfucking part of the world is gonna fucking do. I understand being offended by this because the word choice could have been better, but please, let's not play this stupid ass fucking word game. You can clearly see the words on the screen. You know that she ain't talking about people who live in the hood. It's you motherfuckers that act hood. And if you offended by that, you a motherfucker that's scaring the hoes. You a motherfucker that people are nervous to be around. And I suggest you change your life so that people don't have to be fucking nervous around you. I know I'll still get you dumb motherfuckers calling me a coon, but guess what? You're not changing shit because while I'm trying to improve my life, you still stuck in whatever the fuck you trying to stay stuck in because it looks cool to you and that's what you want for your life. And that's perfectly fine. I can't tell a bunch of motherfuckers to change their life. I can't force you to change your life. All I'm gonna say is if you start losing out on opportunities, if you start scaring the hoes, if you start having your friends get more above in life and you still stuck in your same ways, it ain't everybody else, it's fucking you. And to individuals like Mr. Educationist Elevation, I would love for you to continue to speak your mind about all these different things, especially in the black community. Because even though you get things wrong, I get things wrong, it should not stop you from speaking your mind and giving out some education and elevation to people who are lacking that. But understand, you lack that on occasion, I lack that on occasion.
This particular issue is being used to drive division and conflict in the black community, especially amongst men and women. Oh, it's time to admit, that a lot of y'all see your own people through the eyes of them folks. That's the reason why you got all these surface level critiques about hood ghetto people. You see what I'm saying?
And don't take my fucking word for any of this shit. I'm going to bring up and have someone speak on it themselves. And yes, it's a black woman.
I get nervous and anxious around ghetto hood people. I don't like the conversation because it's causing a divide in the community. And part of the reason why it's causing a divide is because it's turning into a suburban versus hood conversation instead of it being a mentality conversation. Because it doesn't matter what neighborhood you grew up in. You could have grew up in the hood. You could have grew up in the suburbs. That has nothing to do with your mentality. You got girls who ain't never stepped foot in the hood acting like a sexy red. You got dudes who ain't never stepped foot in the hood acting like NBA Youngboy, right? So this has nothing to do with anything besides the mentality. But the way y'all done turn this into a suburban versus people from the hood conversation is crazy. I don't know why y'all are trying to act silly like you don't understand what somebody mean when they talk about people that make them anxious and nervous. Let's take hood out of it. Let's take ghetto out of it, right? Because obviously y'all gonna keep making this be about a neighborhood that you live in. When most hoods were just regular neighborhoods until a group of people came in and ran it down and turned it into a bad neighborhood or area, okay? So we're gonna leave the neighborhood part out of it. We're gonna talk about the mentality in itself. Anytime you get around somebody who is willing to crash out, no matter what their race is, and you could just tell that they ain't got nothing to lose, they should make you nervous and anxious. I done been around non-black people who look like meth heads, and they made me anxious and nervous. They made me lock my doors. They made me grab my purse because I don't know what you up to. You moving too much, and I don't like it. And I'm about to get away from you as fast as I can. I done pulled up to a gas station before where it's just a group of pookies just sitting around smoking, being unproductive. I'm not getting out the car. I'll find another gas station before I get out of the car because you make me anxious and nervous. I done rode through neighborhoods where those flags on your house is just a little too questionable for me. The area is just a little too odd. I'm about to get up out of this area because I don't know who y'all are that live over here, right? And y'all don't be black. But you make me anxious and you make me nervous because I don't know why you riding around with that pickup truck with that flag on it, but I don't want to find out either. I done been around girls before, ain't never came from a piece of nobody's hood. Suburban girls. But you would never know it because they put on this little act like they from the hood. Always talking about fighting, always arguing, always in some mess, but ain't never been in nobody's hood before. But guess what? They make me anxious and nervous too because I don't want to be around nobody who don't know how to have no positive conflict resolution and they resort to fighting anytime they can't get along with another woman. I hate how y'all done turn this into a classism situation and how y'all are being so disingenuous because you know good and well nobody meant that everybody from the hood are criminals. You knew that. You knew that. I read through the comment section. I didn't take anybody's comments as that. I don't think anybody thought that everybody who from the hood are criminals and bad people and that just in general people from the hood or that are ghetto make people anxious and nervous. Y'all knew exactly who they was talking about when they said that. You knew exactly the group of people who make them anxious and nervous. It's the group of people that should make you anxious and nervous because they willing to crash out and they'll take you along with it. You knew that though, but y'all are turning this into classism more than anything. Neighborhoods don't hurt people. People hurt people. Both my childhood home, my grandmother's homes were both communities that consisted of mix of white and black families, middle class. Once the crack epidemic hit and crime picked up, murder picked up, drugs picked up in those areas, a lot of those white families moved out of those areas and moved into the outskirts of the city. That left black families there who were still just regular middle class families trying to get by, left with a group of degenerates who were set on destroying the community and running around terrorizing everybody. And that is where the hood was born. It was never the actual neighborhood. It was never the houses. It was the people and the mindset and the mentality who ran it down and destroyed it. And now make people look at those areas in certain ways because of the amount of crime that's taking place in it. A lot of these creators just jumped on here with this take to be a popular opinion, to agree with the masses and be willfully obtuse and dense. Most black people right now are first, second, third generation out of the hood. Most are from the hood though, right? No matter where they at right now, no matter where they living right now, no matter how good they doing right now, a lot of them originated from the hood. Somebody in my comments said Michelle Obama's from O Block, right? Because the reality is that's where most of us are from some type of hood, right? So to sit up and act like we don't know how to distinguish the difference between a regular black person that's just from the hood and a crash dummy, stop being stupid on purpose. All of a sudden, magically, they don't remember the ratchet girls in school who used to make fighting their whole personality. They would come to school at 8 o'clock in the morning ready to fight. It didn't matter whether or not it was the new girl, the girl who was getting too much attention from the guys, the girl who thought she was all that. They was ready to go on sight, right? I remember the first day of high school watching a pregnant girl get jumped by like 6 girls, right? So let's stop the games. Acting like they don't remember the hood dudes who used to go around bullying the nerdy dudes, the less stereotypical black guys who didn't have the Jordans, who didn't wear all of the coolest, latest clothes, the ones who wasn't in the streets. Let's stop the games like you don't remember that. They know exactly who the problematic people in the community are. They know them when they see them. They know when they hear them. They got them in their family. They done seen those people destroy communities and neighborhoods and terrorize people. They know firsthand. Some of these people are their brothers, their uncles, their daddies. Some of them sitting up in prison and jail right now behind destroying our communities and unaliving people that look just like them. But for the sake of this, it's anti-black to bring any of this up. One of my favorite talking points that I'm hearing all these creators say is hood and ghetto people don't bother nobody as long as you mind your business. You're right. Regular black people that's from the hood do not bother anybody. But the crash dummies are a different story. All you got to do is look at them wrong. All you got to do is accidentally step on their foot, and they ready to end everybody's life over it, right? So again, to sit up and act like you don't know that, though, to know that there's a group of men who just go to the club to stand on the wall and wait for somebody to do something wrong to them so that they can pop off, to know that there's a group of girls who just waiting on you to look at them wrong so that they can pop off on you, and think that that wouldn't make somebody anxious and nervous. Stop the games on here.
Subscribe to the channel. I will see you in the fucking next one. Be better if you so choose, and if not, don't be surprised when a bunch of people leave your fucking ass. Goodbye.